Good evening, sports fans.
That was the alert for the message that you sent out.
Good evening, sports fans. Welcome to Week 4 of League 1 college football. Tonight, the Marshall Thundering Herd visit the Navy Midshipmen. It's not a long drive from Marshall, West Virginia, but the Thundering Herd got sidetracked by some rustlers and did not make it to the stadium on time, but they have just arrived and put uniforms on and will be starting the game against the Midshipmen very shortly. We're going to take a quick run through of their roster while they, tie up their cleats, and then we'll get started. The quarterback, Matt Miller, is a very good senior. We have not seen him before, we believe. Although I guess no, the last time we the last time we played Marshall would have been the 2017 season, so we would have seen him. And I believe he beat us in that game, so that's a dangerous thing to keep aware of. He passes a lot. 410 yards in his only game so far this season, but he doesn't run much at all. So we're going to start the game not keying on the scramble and see not calling spies and see what that does for us. The halfback, Titus Russell, is a good 91. He gets 77 yards on the ground and 52 through the air, so that's dangerous. Fullback isn't much to speak of. They go to Fogel, who got 80 yards, and Galloway, who got 74 yards. But it's the tight end, Charles Bray, who gets the bulk of the passing yards. He got 141 yards in their single game on 8 catches. So we're going to be very worried about Charles Bray. We know Charles Bray very well because he played a season at Navy before transferring. And so we're going to be worried about him. We're going to be worried about the halfback out of the backfield. They've got a excellent line. It's got a 92, an 87, a 92, a 79, and a 94. So that's a fantastic line, and it's evenly spread. What they don't have clearly is depth, as you see Bray there being the backup at every single offensive line position. Defensively, they are also very good. 84-95 right end. 89 D-tackle backed up by an 88. 90 left outside linebacker impact player. We're going to be staying away from Porter. 82, 87 other linebackers. 89 hot streak, 85, 84 at the corners. The weakest player on defense is their free safety at 82, but he's surrounded by quality. Strong safety is an 88. Kicker's a 92. The punter, we likely won't see that often. They'll probably put Thomas on the field instead. So with that very rapid rundown of the Thundering Herd, we're going to turn it over to the voice of Midshipman football, Coach Spector. Coach.
Thank you, Coach. Welcome, sports fans, to another exciting edition of League 1 NCAA football here in Season 18. We are going to be coming to you live from Annapolis, Maryland. It's about a 7-hour drive from Huntington, West Virginia, across the mountains, but some treacherous roads there through the Shenandoah Valley and narrow country roads, taking them home into Annapolis. A pass-heavy attack led by former midshipman Charles Bray at the tight end position, and a team that defeated Navy not so long ago in a game at Jones T. Edwards Stadium in Huntington, West Virginia. This is a revenge game, potentially, for Navy. They will look to do so. They will look to get their conference season started off interdivisional play. American Conference. The very easy role on edge on defense. And we will for the mission and what promises to be another in Navy football. The Thundering is coming in. Defeat. Right. Laptop. Yep. Thank you, Leon. Sounding choppy and robotic. Not the goal, obviously. Choppy, maybe more so than robotic, but we will try not to do our best impersonation of Styx's Mr. Roboto. The Thundering Herd coming in with that pass-heavy attack, as we were mentioning, coming off a big win over a ranked Texas opponent. The Thundering Herd able to defeat the Texas Longhorns in their previous game. They'll be looking to carry that momentum into this affair tonight. For their part, the Midshipmen, coming off a couple of user games, the opening loss to Syracuse followed by a big win over Washington to bring the Midshipmen back up to 500 to 1-1 overall. As mentioned, they are 0-0 in the American. This will be the opening conference game for both teams. Marshall coming in with 531 yards of offense, placing them 11th in the country. Navy with the 8th ranked rushing defense in the nation, potentially not being tested that much today, as Marshall coming in with the 4th ranked passing attack. You see the points per game relatively close for both teams, 27 and 31 points respectively for the scoring offenses, 24 and 29.5 points respectively for the scoring defenses. Some top players there for Navy. Obviously Downs, the free safety, with 2 picks already and 1 return for a score. Reggie Henry, the all-time leading receiver for the Navy Midshipmen, coming in with 17 catches on the season in 2 games. And Joe Bright, the power halfback, with a touchdown last week and 9 receptions. For Marshall, Miller, the quarterback, the 98 overall, as mentioned by Coach. Galloway, the right end, 95, and Scott at 94, the right tackle. Both of those players trying to set the edge on the respective lines. It's an overcast, cloudy, and rainy day here in Annapolis. The all-white uniforms for Marshall expected to get dirtied along the way. And the midshipmen donning their navy tops and old gold pants. We're just about set to get underway here in Annapolis for the opening game of this year's American Athletic Conference play. The Blue Angels drop a parachutist. The midshipmen come out on the field, the Cannons thunder. The crowd on their feet as these two teams set to do battle. Last-minute adjustments being made by Coach Six Gun Ninja And Marshall will be kicking off to start the game. The Thundering Herd will receive the kickoff to start the second half. King underneath it takes the knee in the end zone, and the Marshall Thundering Herd will take up their defensive stance on Navy's 25-yard line as the midshipmen look set to get underway in their opening drive of the football game. Navy coming into the game ranked 7th. Marshall lurking just outside the polls.
Now the offense gets ready to take their first.
And out of the huddle they come. Navy in the spread set against a 4-man front by Marshall. Moss surveys the defense, takes the snap, drops back, and throws to Henry on the run, right to left across your radio dial, picking up the first down and more on the first play of the game. It's a 14-yard gain. First down, midshipmen out to their own 39-yard line. The rain coming down in soft, big droplets. Not the small rain that you get in Ireland, more like the East Coast thunderstorm rain, although so far so good on the lightning front. It's an eye tight set. Moss is under center against 4 down linemen for Marshall. They give up the gut to Bright, and the defense meets him, but not before he gains 4 yards. Going to be 2nd and 6 when they resume play following a strategy session, as both teams defer to committees. They're in the early going. Navy on their opening drive, out to about the 46-yard line. It's 11 personnel, a shotgun wide trip set against 4 down linemen for Marshall. Moss surveying the defense, takes the snap, drops back, throws it out into the flat to Joe Bright. Bright with the 4-yard reception. Going to be 3rd down, 2 yards to go for the Middies. 47-yard line, the marker. Just a little over a minute into the football game.
3rd and 2 coming up here. Ball on the 47.
Breaking the huddle, a 3-man front this time for Marshall against the spread set from Navy. Moss in shotgun. Drops back, looking, and quickly over the middle to Henry. Reggie Henry making the catch. It's 12-yard gain. Going to be 1st down and 10 yards to go on Henry's 2nd catch of the day. 2 catches for 2 first downs so far. And now the ball into Marshall territory for the first time of the day, down to the 41-yard line of the Thundering Herd. Just under 2 minutes into the ball game. And Navy breaks the huddle, witnessing 3 down linemen for Marshall. Shotgun wide trips for the Middies. Moss looking over things. Now takes the snap to give up the gut to Bright. He's got a good hole. Gets good yardage. It's an 8-yard gain. Now going to be 2nd and 2. Short yardage on 2nd down. Most coaches prefer that. The ball now down to the 33-yard line.
2 yards away from the sticks.
And breaking the huddle are both teams. 4 down linemen for Marshall. It's a shotgun split big for Navy. Moss takes the snap off to the left. Quarterback keeper. Positive yards. Tackled after a 14-yard gain just inside the Marshall 30 down to the 29-yard line. Just inside the Marshall 20 down to the 19-yard line. The first foray into the red zone for Navy today.
From the 19-yard line. 1st down.
3-man front for Marshall. Eye tight set for Navy. Moss under center. Bright in the backfield. Henry at the right tight end position. Up the gut to Bright. He gets positive yards, 6 in fact. It's going to be 2nd and 2 when they reconvene. thanks to Joe Bright's third carry. This one goes for 6. That takes it up to 18 on the day. Here in the early going, we're about halfway through the first quarter, as we now have 2nd and 4 from about the 13-yard line. Shotgun wide trips for Navy, 4 down linemen for Marshall. It's a read option. Moss on the keeper. Gets the first down, brought down by a couple of defenders after a 6-yard gain. That's going to set up the midshipmen with 1st and goal at the 7-yard line. Navy here on their opening drive have taken the first half of the first quarter. We are at the midway point. They break the huddle here at the 7-yard line, looking to put the first points of the day on the board in their favor. Shotgun split big, 4 down linemen for Marshall. Up the gut to Bright. He is met by stiff resistance. It's going to be a loss of 1. That'll be 2nd and goal from about the 7. They're in the shadow of the goalposts. And the checkered end zone of the midshipmen awaits. They're marking it at the 8.
It's 2nd down.
That's where this play will begin. It features 11 personnel for Navy and a 4-man front for the Thundering Herd. Moss drops back, looking over the middle to Bright, and Bright on the angle route gets the touchdown. Into the paint he goes. Touchdown, midshipmen. They strike first. It's 6-0, awaiting the extra point. Kick is up and good. 7-0 Navy. As you see their arch rival, West Point, trailing San Jose State up on the scoreboard. Army off to a 2-0 start on their own accord, facing an early deficit against the California team.
Ewing looks ready to kick this one off.
Ewing putting the ball back into play on the kickoff. Deep into the end zone it goes. Marshall bends the knee, and they will start their opening drive at their 25. As we see Matt Miller's numbers from their last game against Texas, 410 yards passing against the Longhorns. An excellent performance from Miller in that affair. We'll see if he's able to come close to duplicating that today. It's going to be tough sledding against a great Navy defense. The midshipmen certainly will do everything they can to prevent that. 3 receivers off to the left side. Navy responding with a 4-man front as the screen pass. It gets out to Russell. He breaks the tackle, picks up a block, and picks up 20 yards or more. 23 to be, in fact, out near the midfield stripe. And the Thundering Herd going no huddle.
Which means the defensive linemen are the key to slowing down a really well-executed screen pass. Because if you think about it...
Navy in the 4-3. It's a play-action pass and thrown to Galloway. Galloway breaks the tackle. Picks up 29. A couple of early broken tackles, possibly wet jerseys coming into play, loosening the grip of the defenders.
There are 5 wide receivers split out. The quarterback in the gun.
Staying with the no huddle are the Marshall Thundering Herd, and it looks like a handoff up the gut to Russell is swallowed up by the midshipman defense. Roach was the first one on the scene. Glenn gets the tackle. It's a loss of 2. That's going to put the Thundering Herd back into the huddle to reevaluate as they face 2nd and 12 from the 25-yard line of the midshipmen.
From the 25-yard line. 2nd down.
Out of the huddle they come. It's a 3-3-5 defense for Navy. Shotgun, spread set. Miller drops back to left. He throws to the left. And Jared Fogle making the reception near the sideline. He's a young player, but not too young. And the southpaw out to Galloway near the sideline. Galloway making the catch. Inside the 10 he goes to about the 6.5-yard line. 14-yard catch by Galloway sets up 1st and goal for Marshall. Navy audibling into a bear front. Marshall staying with the spread set. It's an option play. They get the pitch off. Broken tackle into the end zone goes Titus Russell. And Marshall scores on their opening drive. And the extra point will tie it here in the first quarter. Both teams finding pay dirt on their initial possessions.
Here's the PAT to tie this thing up.
Kick is up, and between the uprights it goes. We are locked at 7.
76-yard drive.
2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. A 6-play, 72-yard drive
And he's ready to kick this one off.
by the Thundering Herd, taking the ball down the field in less than a minute to equalize here in the first quarter. And King on the return,
6-yard line.
off to the left edge, picks up 26 yards. He's going to be out just past the 25-yard line to the 26. That is where Navy will take over for their second possession of the game. They are now going into further machinations, making sure that all of their setups are the way they want them to be. And now here on 1st and 10 from their own 26, they will resume play for the first play of their second drive. 3-3-5 bear front by Marshall, meeting up against a shotgun split big. Moss in the shotgun set, surveys the defense. Quarterback keeper off to the left side, and he is tackled. Peter Moss gets 3.
That'll make it 2nd and 7.
Now it's going to be 2nd down, 7 to go from the 29-yard line.
It's 2nd down.
Navy's going to come out in the eye-tight formation. 4 down lineman for Marshall. Fuller comes in motion. Moss drops back, throws to the right, and caught but then dropped. Reggie Henry couldn't hang on in heavy traffic. Ball falling harmlessly to the turf. It's going to bring up 3rd down, 3rd and 7 for Navy.
They spread the field.
4 down linemen and 5 receivers are what we see. Shotgun set. Moss contemplating his affairs. Back to pass he goes, and quickly over the middle to Henry. Reggie Henry atones for his previous drop, converts the first down, gains 18 yards. That's his 3rd catch for 44 yards. Out near the logo, near the midfield stripe, still in Navy territory, but not by much. But they do convert the first down, going to be 1st and 10 at their own 47-yard line.
1st and 10.
We've got 1:20 remaining on the clock here in the first quarter. I formation this time. I normal for Navy. 3-4 defense for Marshall. They give up the gut to Bright,
He makes it out to maybe the 49.
and Bright picks up 2 yards. Going to be 2nd down and 8 to go when we reconvene. As we are inside the 1-minute mark of the first quarter. Both teams scoring on their opening possessions. Navy here on their second possession
It's 2nd down.
and moving the ball out almost to the midfield stripe so far. Shotgun normal set now for the midshipmen, facing off against the 4-man front. And it's a quarterback keeper. Moss on the read option. Picks up half the distance needed. Now going to be 3rd down, 4 yards to go. Into Marshall territory. Spread set for Navy. 4 down lineman for Marshall. And Moss over the middle to Mays. Drew Mays making his first catch today. It's a 10-yard catch for the first down on what is likely to be the final play of the first quarter. The ball now to the 36-yard line. And it will be the final play of the first quarter. We are locked at 7 We are on Navy's second possession.
We've played one.
They are in Marshall territory. "36-yard line, the marker here for 1st and 10. Marshall now in a 3-3-5, and Navy with 11 personnel in the shotgun wide trips. Moss drops back, flings it out to Bright. Bright catches it in the flats, picks up 8. Going to be 2nd and 2. 2nd down and 2 to go. Bright's 3rd catch of the day. He had the touchdown that culminated the first possession for Navy. And Navy coming out in the eye tight with the twin tight ends once again. Up the middle to Bright. Bright gets enough for the first down, plus a couple more. 4-yard gain is how it goes into the books. And the result of the play is a first down, a fresh set of downs at the 24-yard line for the midshipman offense. About 30 seconds into the second quarter here, locked at 7. Shotgun split big now, 4 down linemen for Marshall. Let's see what happens. It's an option play to the left. Moss on the quarterback keeper, tackle from behind, but not before he picks up 5 yards. Going to cut the distance in half, needed to convert. Now going to be 2nd down, 5 to go. As Navy now goes no huddle, trying to give Marshall a little taste of their own medicine. Staying with the split big. Marshall staying with the 4-3. Quarterback keeper, and Moss quasi breaks the tackle, does enough to get the first down, and then fall forward for an extra couple yards. It's going to go into the books as an 8-yard gain. It's going to be 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line for the midshipmen. High tide formation for Navy. Moss dropping back and throwing to Williams. Williams crossing route from left to right. Picks up 8. He falls forwards. Going to be 2nd and 2 on John Williams' first composition of the day. A 2-yard gain down to the 4-yard line.
It's 2nd down, and they're about 2 yards away from the sticks.
Navy breaking the huddle. They've got the shotgun wide trips against 4 down linemen. Up the gut, and Bright picks up enough for the first down. Going to be 1st and goal. 1st and goal for the midshipmen at the 1-yard line is with our market. It looks to be just outside the one, maybe a foot, maybe a few inches outside the 1-yard line marker. The tip of the football on the 1. Eye tight formation. Moss under center. 3-man front for Marshall. Up the gut to Bright, and he finds pay dirt for the 2nd time today. Joe Bright up the gut for 1 yard, and Navy retakes a 1-score lead. 5:45 remaining in the second quarter. Navy ahead 13-7, awaiting the extra point.
The offensive lineman just pancaked the defense on that one.
Ewing having the ball back into play. A quick check of some statistics here. Navy trying to make adjustments on the fly. They want an instant update of Marshall's first drive. Marshall's second drive will begin from the 25. Following that touchback.
With 1 quarter down, I really haven't seen too much separation.
And they break the huddle. Navy with a 3-3-5 defense. Marshall with a spread set. Single back in the backfield. The lefty, Miller, drops back, throws to the left. Galloway on the crossing route, picks up 3 yards. Going to be 2nd and 7. Navy stays with a 3-3-5. Marshall stays with the spread set. Give up the gut. Russell, Titus Russell gets enough of the first down. 8 yards is what they'll call it. Fresh set of downs for the Thundering Herd. 5:21 on the clock. It will begin to move again once they do. The southpaw drops back. Miller doesn't love what he sees. Gets the outlet pass to the left to Galloway. Galloway holds off his tacklers enough to get a few extra yards and convert the first down. Move the ball just barely into Navy territory. As Marshall now has a 1st and 10 at about the 47-yard line of the midshipmen. Miller dropping back and throwing to his right, caught by Galloway. First down, 12-yard gain. Inside the 40-yard line they go. Staying with the no huddle, it is Marshall. Miller over the middle to Washington. Washington breaks the tackle, gets rid of a 3rd tackler, and almost into the end zone. A big 33-yard gain down inside the 5-yard line. Going to be 1st and goal from about the 2 as Marshall hurries up, running down the field, trying to get their next play off as quickly as possible. They go up the gut to Russell, and Titus Russell finds pay dirt for the 2nd time today. Both halfbacks with both touchdowns for both teams. Both teams with 2 touchdowns on their opening drives. And this extra point will tie the football game. It is up and good. Another very quick drive, about 1 minute once again on 6 plays for 72 yards for Marshall. And with 4:56 remaining in the 2nd quarter, Navy set to receive for their 3rd possession. Caught by King on the left side. Tackled inside the 20. A 17-yard return. And Navy will set up at their own 13-yard line.
This is the point in the game where you don't want to make any mistakes that give the other guys a reason to feel more confident going into halftime.
4 down linemen for Marshall. Twin tight end set for Navy. A familiar theme. Quarterback keeper by Moss and tackled after a gain of 9.5. The one defender making a solid open field tackle, but Moss picking up almost enough for first down on the carry.
So it's 2nd down.
Now going to be 2nd and inches for the midshipmen. Same setup as before for both teams. Moss in shotgun, looking over the defense. Another quarterback keeper by Moss, tackled after a gain of 8.
That one looked familiar. It looked like the exact same play they ran previously.
As we approach the midway point of the 2nd quarter. 31-yard line, the marker now for Navy.
From their own 31-yard line. First down.
3-3-5 defense for Marshall. Navy coming out in the shotgun wide trips. Moss, slight roll to his right, and Reggie Henry makes the catch, picks up 2 yards. Tries to cut up field, but his momentum takes him out of bounds. The result of the play is 2nd and 8 for the midshipmen as we cross the midway point of the 2nd quarter. Shotgun split big, 3-3-5 defense for Marshall. Quarterback keeper, he gets the pitch off to Scott. Leonard Scott, the fullback, with open space, and he gets a big gain, a 29-yard gain, his longest carry, his longest play of the season. Leonard Scott with the 29-yard gain from the fullback position, as Moss was able to successfully execute the pitch on the option play out into open space. Shotgun split big, 4 down linemen. Moss on the keeper, out to the left side. Inside the 20, inside the 10, inside the 5. Pushed out of bounds after a 33-yard gain. Another quarterback keeper by Peter Moss finds good yardage. Down to the 4-yard line.
We might see another run here as it's first and goal.
Shotgun normal. 3-man front. Into the end zone is Peter Moss. Another quarterback keeper gets 4 yards. It's 20-14 Navy. 3 minutes remain in the first half. Navy scoring on their first 3 possessions. Marching the ball down the field into pay dirt on all 3.
And he hits the PAT.
Kick is up and good. It is 21-14 Navy. Midshipmen with the lead.
They can really demoralize a defense when they drive the ball down the field, and a lot of the yards came on the ground.
So our score, 21-14. Everyone's all lined up and ready for the kickoff. He sends this one deep.
Ewing putting the ball into play.
End zone for a touchback.
Marshall bends the knee, and with 3:04 remaining in the half, Marshall about to embark on their 3rd possession of the game. We've seen 5 possessions by both teams, 5 touchdowns between the 2 teams, as defenses late to arrive on the scene.
The last time out, they were able to pick up big chunks of yards through the air. You wonder if they'll go back to that same strategy, or will they start...
Shotgun spread defense for Marshall. Miller drops back. Off to the right side is Galloway. He makes the for 8 yards. Going to be 2nd and 2 to go, as Marshall continues with their no-huddle attack. Pistol set up now for the Thundering Herd. Up the gut to Titus Russell. He's got enough for the first down. 7 yards is what they call it. Going to be 1st and 10 for Marshall. Out past the 30-yard line. Miller in the shotgun set, trying to execute a 2-minute drill. Throws the slant route right to left across your radio dial, but it's dropped. It's the first incompletion of the day for Marshall as the defense cracks heads, the ball falling harmlessly to the turf. 39-yard line is the marker. It is the 3rd possession. We've seen 5 touchdowns on the opening 5 possessions between these 2 teams. And Miller gives to the left side. Lots of defenders waiting in the wings. Nowhere to go for Russell. Not going to be 3rd and long for the Thundering Herd. .335 across. Miller dropping back, looking, and throws to Jared Fogle. Fogle breaks the tackle. And Jared Fogle assaults his way into the territory. Hello, SD. The ball now to the 41.5. Miller dropping back, looking, surveying, throws to Charles Bray, the former midshipman tight end. Charles Bray, the transfer student, has played against Marshall, now playing for Marshall against Navy. Miller dropping back, throwing over the middle to Washington, who breaks the tackle and falls forward across the first down marker. It's a 10-yard catch for Lawrence Washington. We are inside the 2-minute mark. Marshall continuing with their traditional no-huddle attack. Now Miller takes off, breaks the tackle, gets positive yardage. Marshall calls their first time out. It's 2nd and 4
Just took their first time out.
from the 17-yard line. SD, when I attended Marshall and did broadcasting for Marshall University, I can tell you that Kirk Herbstreit was the nice one, and Lee Corso, not so nice.
Out of bounds at the 14-yard line.
John Hammond makes the 3-yard catch. Going to be 3rd and 1, 14-yard line. Third down coming up for Marshall.
Short yardage situation.
14-yard line is where the ball rests. Almost exactly on the 14-yard line. 3-man front for Navy. They give up the gut to Titus Russell. He gets the first down
They're really putting
inside the 10.
right now.
And it seems right now this defense is
Going to be 1st and goal from the 10. Indeed, we were all broadcast journalism students that were up there in the press box, the kids, and Kirk Herbstreit more than happy to give advice and assistance and meet us. And Lee Corso, being nice, he was simply not nice,
Tackled at the 1-yard line.
if I can put that as nicely as I can.
At the 1-yard line. That brings up 2nd and goal.
Now 2nd and goal from the 1. Just a little bit over a minute left in the second quarter. Up the gut to Russell. He finds pay dirt. His 3rd touchdown. The 3rd touchdown for Marshall. With 1:19 remaining.
For the extra point in an attempt to tie the game.
Kick is up and good. We are tied at 21. Both teams with 3 possessions. Both teams with 3 touchdowns. Navy will get a 4th possession here in the first half with 1:19 remaining in the second quarter and their full complement of timeouts. King brings it out of the end zone, takes off to the left side, has good blocking, a good hole, big long gap inside Marshall territory. A 59-yard return by Travis King. That's going to set up Navy with excellent field position, and the clock suddenly less of a factor than it was just a moment ago. Still in play as there are only 72 seconds remaining in the first half,
With momentum, so as we get closer to halftime,
but the ball resting in Marshall territory.
big plays.
Shotgun split big for Navy. To give to Bright up the gut. He gets 9. Clock moving, just over a minute. Quarterback keeper by Moss.
Makes it to the 21.
Tackled at about the 21-yard line at the 13 gain. And Navy burns its first time out with 54 seconds remaining in the first half. Just outside Marshall's red zone.
1-yard line.
Staying with the shotgun split big are the midshipmen. Clock winding down, the play clock, not the game clock. And Moss on the quarterback keeper off to the left side, picks up, blocks, and he goes out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Could have scored, but Marshall would have had more time on the clock. Navy trying to burn a few extra seconds off the clock. Intentionally running out of bounds at the 1-yard line, trying to do so.
First and goal from the 1, looking to punch this one in.
High tight formation. 4 down linemen. Skewed for Marshall. And they give up the gut to Bright. And he is tackled again, intentionally avoiding the score. Navy doing everything they can to take time off the clock. as they have not been able to stop Marshall on offense. Marshall has had 3 one-minute drives. Navy, therefore, doing what they can to avoid giving very much time to Marshall. Now with 21 seconds. And Bright does get into the end zone this time, 2 yards out. 9 seconds to play.
And that's his second touchdown of the day.
That was just an excellent
27-21 Navy.
He makes the PAT. A 5-play, 43-yard drive. And they put up 7 points. Boy, this
Navy scores to take the touchdown lead. It's 28-21 midshipmen.
And it's opening up some nice big
That's going to do it for the first half. Navy has the lead at 28-21. Number 7 Navy with the lead. They got the ball to start. They have a 1 touchdown lead, with the exception of a 1-play drive to both teams scoring on all 7 of their possessions. And Navy with the 1-score lead. Marshall will get the ball to start the second half. We're going to throw up some halftime stats onto the screen, and we will rejoin you in about 6 minutes.
Trying to get the ball back for their offense.
Absolutely. You got to find Reese. These ball hawks on defense, they need to find the football. They need to make some big plays, create some turnovers. How about using that hit stick a little bit? How about knocking somebody silly and making them drop the football? I mean, defense's number 1 priority is trying to turn the football over, try to make a big explosive play for your offense so they can do more damage and they can take the ball down the field. So those ball hawks need to show themselves in the second half.
Just about time to get you back out for the second half. Brad and Kirk will be along in just a second. You're looking forward to keeping an eye on everything around the country here. Got a good game score.
We're locked and loaded. We got all the big screens going. You're going to be looking to hand out some helmet stickers later. We loaded, man.
I'll try. You think you can keep on your shoes in the second half?
I tried to. A stinky?
Yes. Brad and Kirk, you're at a safe distance. Take it away.
Taking a look at some halftime stats, we see the score 28-21, 14-12, Navy with a slight edge in first downs. The one extra possession giving them the advantage on offense. 195 yards rushing and 3 for 3 for both teams on third down. And both teams 100% in the red zone. Those 3 drives by Marshall, as mentioned, taking about a minute. Therefore, Navy with 12 minutes in the time of possession column. And we look set to get the second half underway as Navy holding a one-score lead here in Annapolis. Ewing puts it into play. Deep into the end zone it goes. Marshall bends the knee. And the Thundering Herd will take over at their 25-yard once again.
This deficit can be easily overcome, sure. But they have to be thinking if they don't get something going on this series, the burden...
3 down lineman for Navy. Facing off against the spread set. It's a run up the gut. He's met immediately. Tackled for a loss of 4. Ray Flynn getting his second tackle for loss as he burst into the backfield, stuffing that play before it could get started. Indeed, puddles accumulating on the field. A mucky, rainy day here in Annapolis. As we see Marshall staying with the spread set, Miller throwing off to the left side, and Galloway with a 3-yard catch, getting them back to 3rd and 10. They'll go no huddle here for third down. Navy responding with the 3-3-5 across. Marshall putting people into motion. Play action pass, and Galloway to the left sideline picks up 14 yards and a first down for Marshall. Out near the 40-yard line. Looks to be at about the 39. Staying with the no huddle and quickly to the right side. Washington unable to break the tackle. Good open field tackle limits him to no gain. Going to be 2nd and 10. They stay with the no huddle. Navy stays with the 3-man front. Miller drops back and the southpaw puts it in the air and it's broken up for just a second incompletion on the day for Matt Miller. He's 17 of 19. But now 3rd and long. The incompletion will send them back into their subcommittee. Ball on the 38.
3rd down again.
3rd and long, 7:08 in the 3rd quarter. Miller dropping back, throwing the screen pass. Russell makes the catch. He's going to come up just shy of the first down. It's going to be 4th and 1. And the punt unit is going to come out onto the field for Marshall for the first punt of the ball game for either team. Big defensive stop there for Navy. The punt down to about the 11 is where King takes it. And he's tackled just outside the 20 at about the 23-yard line. It's a 10-yard return. And Navy, with a 1-score lead, taking over at their 22.
Both sides have made their way back out, and we're just about set to get going again. Navy is up 7.
Shotgun wide trips for the midshipmen. Four down lineman for Marshall. Moss surveying the field, taking the snap, drops back, throws out the flat from Joe Bright. The halfback, Joe Bright, makes the catch, falls forward for 10 yards. Going to be 2nd and inches when we reconvene. Just about 2 minutes into the third quarter. Navy coming up with the first stop of the day for either team. Aside from a one-play end of the half drive for Marshall.
Football from the first down marker.
Shotgun split big. 3-man front. Actually, no, it's a 5-2 defense for Marshall. Moss on the keeper. Picks up enough for the first down. They'll call it 3 yards in the books. And we will reset for first down at the 35-yard line.
We've got a 1st and 10. All on the 35-yard line.
Navy coming out in the eye tight. Marshall responding with 4 down linemen. Moss under center. Thinking things through, evaluating his options. The snap to give up the gut to Bright, and Bright picks up 3. Going to be 2nd and 7.
That'll make it 2nd and 7.
Bright up to 40 yards so far on the day. The ball at the 38-yard line.
It's 2nd and
2nd and 7 to go as we break the huddle. 3-man front for Marshall, meeting up against the shotgun split big for the Navy midshipmen. Moss on the keeper, picks up 7, going to be 3rd and inches.
That'll bring up 3rd and inches.
Moss had a couple of big runs in the late first quarter and a couple in the second quarter
the length of the football away from the first down marker.
to provide those numbers.
7 points.
Now it's an eye normal, and Leonard Scott gets his 2nd carry of the day. Gets the first down with a 1-yard gain. As we reach the halfway point of the third quarter, Navy holding a 1-score lead and the football approaching the midfield stripe. The opening American Athletic Conference game for both teams. As we see Navy with a 1-score lead in the football. Shotgun split big for the middies. And to give up the gut to Leonard Scott, the fullback picks up 7 on his 3rd carry. Going to bring up 2nd down, 3 yards to go now in territory.
Second down, and they're going to need about 3 yards to pick up the first down.
4 down linemen for the Thundering Herd. 11 personnel for Navy. Joe Bright off to the right hip of Peter Moss. It's a read option. Quarterback keeper Moss cuts back inside to pick up extra yards. They're going to call it 13 yards. That takes him over the 150 mark and puts the ball at the 35-yard line. The Thundering Herd.
Here's the 8th play of the series.
1st and 10. Shotgun split big. 2 tight ends. 2 backs in the backfield. 4 down linemen for Marshall. Moss up the gut to Scott. His 4th carry of the day. Picks up 8. Going to be 2nd and 2. As we steadily march towards the 2-minute mark of the third quarter. 27-yard line now is where the ball rests. As Navy now moving into scoring range at the 27-yard line, looking to extend this lead, give themselves a small measure of comfort
Play number 9.
going into the final frame.
Navy is up by a touchdown.
Staying with the shotgun split big are the midshipmen. 3 down linemen this time for Marshall. And up the gut to Bright. It's enough for the first down. It's a 3-yard gain. Going to be first down at the 24-yard line. As we are now inside the 2-minute mark of the third quarter. This is Navy's 5th possession of the game. They've scored touchdowns on their first 4, trying to extend that streak. They've moved the ball so far down to the 24-yard line. On the backs of their 16th, 17th, and 18th first downs. Now in the eye tight. Thundering Herd responding with 3 down linemen. They give up the gut to Bright. He falls forward, picks up 5 yards. It's going to be 2nd and 5. Inside the red zone now. At about the 19.5-yard line.
It's the 11th play of the drive.
Shotgun split big, 3 down linemen. A familiar refrain. Moss surveying the field. Quarterback keeper through the B gap. Gets past the tackler partially before he brings him down from behind. But it sets Navy up with a 1st and goal at the 8-yard line.
First down, and they've got their eyes on that goal line. Navy is up a score.
Split big against 4 down linemen here in the red zone. Moss gets the pitch out to Scott, and Leonard Scott rumbles into the end zone from 8 yards out on the pitch. Touchdown midshipmen. They have a 2-score lead. Seconds remaining in the third quarter.
Back to find the end zone.
Good play call here by the you get down.
some sense of urgency to this offense right now. They don't have the luxury of wasting drives. If they
Marshall down by 2 scores, having been forced to punt on their previous possession. Now, under pressure, needing to score quickly and somehow get a stop, something they haven't been able to do so far against what has been a pounding and bruising Navy ground game. This could be the final play of the third quarter as Titus Russell picks off the right side. He's knocked out of bounds with 9 seconds remaining, but begin to move again once the ref placed the football. Looks like they might be able to get a play off before the end of the frame. Miller throwing it to the sideline, and Charles Bray, the tight end, makes a 14-yard catch over the shoulder.
the 35.
Called a gain of 3 yards. That'll make it 2nd and 7.
Defense wins championships, baby. Mike 51.
Don't leave yet, folks. We still got one more quarter to go. Navy's lead is 2 touchdowns.
End of the third quarter, Navy holds a 14-point advantage. Marshall with the football, trying to drive.
Back in this very pivotal 4th quarter.
2nd and 7 is the down and distance.
He makes it to the 32-yard line.
Titus Russell brought down after a gain of 3. Going to be 3rd down, 4 yards to go.
Knocked out of bounds at the 28-yard line.
That's good for a gain of 4 yards. That makes it 1st and 10.
Oh yeah, I'm coming. Oh yeah, I'm coming. Yo, Mike 51, Mike 51. Hey, come now. Hey, go. 36.
Steps out of bounds.
To the left sideline to Galloway, 4-yard gain.
That makes it 2nd and 6.
Roger. 51's Mike. Mike 51.
2nd down and 6 to go. 3-3-5 defense for trying to put a stop to this drive as Miller drops back. The southpaw throws to the right side. Hammond makes the catch, gets the 1st down.
On the 18-yard line.
1st down.
Mike 51. Mike 51. I'm gonna run you over.
About 30 seconds into the 4th quarter, and Miller drops back, looking, and now gets rid of the ball.
Got some pressure, forced a bad pass.
There was a defender bearing down on him, and Miller chooses to throw the ball out of bounds and save 18-yard line.
Here's play number 10 on the drive. He's pushed out of bounds.
Ball's breaking, 2-yard reception this time. That's his 4th catch. One for
A huge play, and now they're in a great position to score.
That makes it 1st and goal.
1st and goal at the 4-yard line. 7:06 on the clock.
It's 1st down, and they'll be looking for 6 points here.
Clock now moving inside the 7-minute marker in the shadow of Navy's goalposts. And Miller
Going to the end zone.
is
Coming back.
throwing into coverage, and Chad Bellamy coming up with an interception of the end. Turnover on the play. Chad Bellamy adjusting well to the route. He's a highly rated player for Navy, coming up with another big play in a long history of making those throughout his career. Leonard Scott receives the pitch. He gets 11 on the play. Ball out to the 31-yard line.
1st down, 10 to go. Ball
As Moss able to swing the ball out to the edge once again to Leonard Scott. 6.5 minutes to go in the ball game. Navy holds 4 lead. the gut to Bright. Defenders meet him. He picks up 2. 2nd and 8. We see there on the ticker San Jose State defeating West Point. Navy's arch rival going down to defeat. All at the 33-yard line. 2nd down, 8 yards to go. Marshall having faltered on their previous 2 possessions. One having to punt. The other, Chad Bellamy coming up with the end zone interception. That's the storyline here in the second half of Navy holding a 14-point lead inside the 6-minute mark in their own territory. Quarterback keeper on the read option, and Moss taking off and running open space to the right side. He's got speed to burn. Gets a huge 60 play. That's his 3rd or 4th big chunk of yardage, his biggest one yet. That's going to put him over the 200-yard rushing mark. As Marshall, without an answer for the Navy ground game here in the second half, really for the duration of the football game. And now the ball resting at the 7-yard line. Navy trying to punch it in for a 3-score lead. Moss keeps it, picks up 2.
That brings up 2nd and goal.
2nd and goal from the 5.
It's 2nd down.
Moss slightly winded after the last 2 runs. Understandably so.
Around the 2-yard line. So they pick up 3.
And crunched at the 2-yard line after a 3-yard gain. 3rd from about the 2. As Anthony Mosley picking up his 12th tackle on the day. We are just about at the halfway point of the 4th quarter. Going to be 3rd and goal when we get out of the committee meetings.
So here we go. It's 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line. 5 wide.
Shotgun setup, spread set for Navy. Multiple receivers on the field. One of them, Reggie Henry, the tight end, playing in a slot receiver role. Back to pass goes Moss, looking for Henry, and he's tackled short of the goal line. Going to be 4th and goal from about the 1-inch line.
That brings up 4th and goal.
And with just over 3 minutes left, one suspects that Navy may save the 4th down and go up by 3 scores here. Looks like they're going to take the clock all the way down to trying to milk every possible second off the clock before they do so.
Get the play off quick enough.
That is exactly what happens. And with 2:15, actually, no, they don't call this. They let the clock expire, indicating that they were already planning on kicking the field goal. Therefore, the 5 yards really having not much effect on what was about to transpire.
This should be an easy field goal.
6-yard line marker, and in fact, it improves the angle a little bit for the kicker.
3 to go in regulation.
And Ewing puts between the uprights. Navy takes the 17-point lead inside the 3-minute mark. There's the scoreline. The Spartans upsetting number 18 Army San Jose State moves to 2-0, and Army suffering their first loss on the year.
17-point ball game here, Reese. 38-21. Navy.
2:57 on the clock.
He really got a hold of that kick.
Ewing puts the ball back into play. Into the deep end zone it goes. Marshall bends the knee, but they go over their own 25-yard line, trailing by 3 scores.
You know, the offensive coordinator, I think, may have looked at this game as if it would be no problem, just show up and be able to move the football. But I think he got a lesson on why it's important to take every single opponent seriously.
The previous 2 possessions for Marshall not going the way they were in this game for much of the first half. But since the score by Navy with about 9 seconds left in the first half,
You don't make changes after one.
Marshall not being able to get enough done on offense and still struggling and throwing another interception, this one to Booker. Booker coming up with a second turnover of Navy, 2:49. That's going to ice it. Navy with the football, 17-point lead, and with less than 3 minutes to play, has this game in a stranglehold. 38-yard line is where the ball rests, with 2 minutes, 49 seconds on the clock.
1st and 10. Ball on the 38.
Shotgun split big for the middies.
He might have a chance.
Moss flings it out to Bright. Bright with the spin move, picking up good yardage.
The 18.
A 20-yard gain by Joe Bright. He's up to 70 yards rushing on the day. And the ball now in Marshall's red zone. But more importantly, gets that clock moving once again as he did not go out of bounds. Now at the 18-yard line. And the clock will begin to move now with 2:40 and counting. As Navy salting this away with a comfortable margin.
18-yard line. Less than 3 minutes in the game.
High tight formation. 3 down linemen for Marshall. Up the gut to Bright. Bright gets 4. Keeps the clock moving. We are going to get under the 2-minute mark. It's Bright now up to 74 yards rushing.
From the 14-yard line. 2nd down.
Navy breaking the huddle, breaking the will of. And Moss taken down on the keeper for a loss of 3. A rare loss by Moss. It's going to be 3rd and long, 9 here for the Mission.
And that looked like a pretty good move as they called timeout before the play clock.
Navy spends their first time out with just 1 second left on the play clock, taking the game clock down to 104 for this 3rd down play.
3rd down, 9 to go. Ball on the 17-yard line.
Split big set up. Navy not here. Clock frozen at 104. And Moss, another quarterback keeper, gets the first down and tackle. Going to be 1st and goal. You get inside the 1 minute mark. Ball 2-yard line. Clock will begin to move now.
first down.
Time these two teams met, Marshall came as if Navy were back.
They'll spread the
They
field
need
5 wide.
first and goal. Less than a minute remaining. Malton
Midshipman.
end zone he goes, 2-yard touch. 44 to 21. Midshipman with 31 seconds
Well,
left.
that touchdown
Okay.
could just about ice this one. And he
Kick is up and good, and it's 45-21 in favor of
The Trojans came into the game
6
ranked third.
o'clock. Ewing puts it into play. Another kick deep into the end zone. Another bended knee by Marshall. Another drive beginning at their own 25. Now, with just 31 seconds left, the result well in hand. The only thing left to do is get out of here with no injuries for both teams.
I'm sure there are a lot of fans out there hoping for a miracle, but I seriously doubt we're going to see one today.
Quarter defense. Spread set for Marshall.
Under heavy pressure.
Looking
He throws it.
deep, and it's another interception by Booker. His second interception on as many pass attempts. Back-to-back interceptions by Miller here late in the fourth quarter in desperate times. He felt he had no other option but to put the ball in the air. He was under a little pressure after having not witnessed an open receiver. Now the ball at the 25-yard line with 21 seconds left. And the result having not been in doubt for quite some time. Moss on the keeper, gets positive yardage, falls forward across
15-yard line.
down to about the 15-yard line. Second and inches. Clock is stopped by Navy's second timeout. They call a timeout on second and inches from the game.
Football from the first down marker. They'll bring him down at the 12. Navy.
Moss picks up 3. Navy calls another timeout. Seconds left. And they will send a kicking unit out to the field.
He gets it up, and the
Pick
field goal.
up and good. He leading 48 to 20. 10 points off of turnovers. Really 17 points off of turnovers. All 3 turnovers resulting in Navy scores. That providing the bulk of the margin of victory. With 9 seconds remaining,
This one's gonna be down in the end zone.
Navy ahead by 27 points. They've pulled away late. This game was 21 all with 10 seconds left in the first half. And since then, all Navy.
Well, late in the fourth quarter, this game has been over for a long time, and now we just want to get out of here like these two teams do.
Quarter defense by the midshipmen. Miller looking. No one open, and flinging it deep again. And another 3 passes, 3 interceptions. Back-to-back interceptions by Miller end this football game. At one point, he was 19 out of 17 with two touchdowns. Now, with 3 interceptions on his final 3 pass attempts, and that will do it. The midshipmen win 48-21. Final score. Player of the game, Peter Moss, only 96 yards passing, but because he ran for 256. As it was the ground game today by Navy, the primary source of their offense. And Navy moves to 1-0 in conference play, 1-0 in the American Conference. Marshall falls to 0-1 from the Eastern Division. Navy next week will be taking on a ranked USF team. We'll get to that in just a moment. Peter Moss, the star of the day. Marco and the rest of Marshall's thundering herd unable to stop the Navy ground game. Taking a quick look at some team stats, we do see almost 400 yards rushing for Navy. They had 195 at the half. They ran for 195 in the second half. And of course, the 4 turnovers, extending the margin in the second half further and further as Marshall scoreless in the third and fourth quarters. We thank you for joining us for another exciting chapter in League One college football. This war contest between these 2 American Conference teams. Close to 1-1 on the season overall. Navy 2-1. Navy at 1-0 in conference play. Marshall at 0-1 in an interdivisional matchup between a Western Division team and an Eastern Division team. Navy will take on another Eastern Division team next week in the USF Bulls. That's another home game for the midshipmen. We expect to catch that later on in the week, next week, as Marshall falls. They beat Navy last year, so did USF, and Navy looking to avenge both those losses back to back. They will have the opportunity to do so in next week's game against the USF Bulls. Once again, we thank you for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful week. Kick its ass.